There's this dude I watch called Meet Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And he mostly follows and goes over like stocks and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he was the first person I saw who had this footage playing back over, and it showed essentially, and he did this so fast too with the Trump assassination attempt shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And like where he would have had to been positioned in like the range. But he's the first channel I saw that posted this video from inside of the building that was behind Charlie Kirk. And you can see out the windows as the camera's panning and they're looking at the crowd run away.
Mm-hmm.
You can see this guy on this roof running. Or a girl. I don't know who it is, right? But there's also, he's got footage of like students recording a guy who hopped on the roof and ran over before the shooting happened. So anyways, it's a super somber evening that we're doing this recording. We just found out that Charlie Kirk has been assassinated. He was killed, and he was shot while speaking at an event at Utah Valley University at around like 12:10 p.m. today. It's a pretty horrible thing. I don't think I have much, like, I'm honestly at a loss for words, because this is something that is so, I guess, feels personal, in that I didn't necessarily agree with Charlie Kirk on everything. I didn't necessarily always approve of his approach or his perspective, but I always thought that he was like a morally good dude.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought like his basis for his arguments was in like moral righteousness and moral reasoning, and ultimately based in scripture. And I never saw him really cuss out anyone. I saw him, get intense and heated, and I think there's times where I thought he was insulting and could like kind of damaged his stance or argument when debating people. But overall, I always thought like he had a much better moral foundation than like Steven Crowder, right, who did very similar stuff, right, of like change my mind. And I also really appreciate that Charlie Kirk didn't ever leave any alluding to like why he had those views, and it was always rooted in like his Christian faith. And he was a dude who, finished the race, dude. Like, there's no scandals that came about him about beating his wife or having an affair, or how he, was a weird perv and groped a bunch of people when he was in college or whatever, right? Like, there's nothing that ever came out that was really bad press about the dude. Just people hated what he had to say. People hated that his opinion on things didn't align with theirs, and it was inflammatory and contradictory, and that he wasn't afraid to speak his mind and what he believed. And he was a very staunch advocate for the nuclear family and the return to Judeo-Christian values as a priority for like the nation. I don't think he believed that we had to have a Christian government, but I do believe from like what I saw and stuff for his arguments that he wanted the morality of Judeo-Christian values to return, such as like, a society that values chastity, a society that values, being celibate, being chivalrous, a society that like values women in women's roles, men in men's roles, a society that abhorred abortion, and all that is super inflammatory today. And I understand how it can be offensive. Like, I watched a lot of his stuff, and I did not necessarily really like the guy, in the way of like, oh yeah, Charlie Kirk, he's the man, dude. He knows it all, and he's always, speaking what I think. More often than not, I was like, yeah, I kind I think he's morally sound in his argument. I just wish he would be a little less aggressive, maybe. And I also wish that he wouldn't allow himself to kind of get baited into like back and forth insults with someone. But you know, who doesn't do that? On both sides, right? So anyways, all that said, it was really saddening to me when I saw him assassinated today. And you know, Pat and I, we were talking about before we started recording, and how that video, even though I've seen tons of videos and photos of, and I've seen real dead people in real life, and I've seen people well past death decaying, and I've seen people go from life to death. And man, there was just something about seeing him get shot mid, you know, speaking point, and how you knew it was over so fast. Dude, I think it was so unsettling, because it was one of those things where like I think we've gotten so comfortable to the forum of like, yeah, this is how it works in America. Like, people get inflammatory about things, people get upset, they try to interrupt, they try to be rude, they, you know, they mob up on a campus and they, you know, break shit and start fires. But they're not going around shooting people in the face
for speaking.
For speaking just things they don't like to hear. But like, and Charlie Kirk never was the one that threatened violence. He was always the one who said like, we're not going to resort to violence. And he was never the dude who was like, he never even, he spoke, right? He shared his opinions and his beliefs and backed them up with arguments, but never was an argument like, okay, well, then I guess we'll kill you. Or, okay, like, well, if you can't see reasoning, then I guess we'll just, you know, remove you from society and kill you. Like, he never threatened violence or alluded to violence. And so for someone to think that what he said was justification for murder and to kill him is insanity. And I was saying offline, but I think I'm fine with saying it here, and I don't really care how people feel about it. I really do feel like this is the equivalent to seeing our like generations, you know, exercise of freedom of speech being gunned down. And I do think it will have the same amount of, maybe not like a holiday and stuff, but I do think it could potentially have the same level of catalysm for how our government goes forward and how people go forward as like MLK. And I do think like MLK Jr. and his assassination, while I do believe MLK was like a larger figure and a figure that was less divisive in review than Charlie Kirk maybe. I truly do think like, because of how connected the world is now and how hundreds of thousands of people saw Charlie Kirk die before media could censor it and twist it to whatever narrative they wanted. And like, people saw the raw footage of him dying and being gunned down and got to formulate their own reactions to it before anyone could be told like, hey, this is how you should feel about this. And the fact that it is indisputably clear that it wasn't him being shot right after saying, and we should round up all the people who didn't vote for Trump and kill them, you know, or we should just put all the immigrants in gas camps. Like, it wasn't anything remotely inflammatory. And he dies. He's murdered. And I do think that will have the historical catalysm for our generation the same way seeing those other, you know, people before in previous generations be murdered for exercising free speech. I don't know, man. I don't know how you can think this is a good thing, and there's people dancing and crying tears of joy that he's been murdered, and they're doing it very obviously and blatantly on social media. So many people celebrating that he's been murdered and shot and gunned down, and everyone justifying it that like he was inciting violence against them and that he was a mouthpiece for violence. And I just don't know what's next. I don't know what's next. And I certainly do not want it to be tit for tat. I certainly do not want a normalization of assassinations just because we don't like what people have to say. But man, they killed the dude who was always against violence as a means of resolving disagreements.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really honestly the right's like main man on stage for, hey, we may disagree and we may have fundamentally different perspectives, but I don't think it's okay for me to hurt you or kill you. Mm-hmm. Just because we disagree. Just like I don't think it's okay for you to hurt me or kill me because we disagree. And then they shot and killed that guy. So what's next? Like, what does that say to everyone else who was waiting patiently, like who was like, all right, we're not going to get involved unless they throw the first stone. And dude, it's thrown, man. And I don't know how there's not going to be retaliatory stuff. I don't know how there's not going to be reactionary things. I pray to God there isn't any. And I certainly don't condone any. Mm-hmm. But I just, man, I saw it and I was just like, how do we win from this? How do we resolve this? So anyways, everyone, that is, if you're listening to this and you're like, who is Charlie Kirk? I ask you to make sure you look up and read stuff online, but do not watch any videos. If there's videos or anything like that, don't watch them, because even some news outlets have been getting dangerously close to exposing people to very, very graphic content. Like, the videos have not been censored well.
Yeah.
I will say that for sure. Like, as someone who saw the raw footage first and was traumatized by it, and then saw even the censored footage and was like, holy shit, like they're not even cutting away like they usually do, pausing the camera. Don't watch it. You don't need to see it. I can tell you this. I'm fucked up. I'm not okay. I'm so not okay that when Billie Jean tried to comfort me, she didn't know what to do. She honestly was trying to console me, and I was honestly shocked. And I've never been shocked from violence like that. I usually can see it and compartmentalize it, and I'm pretty messed up. And again, I say all this as someone, I know the third time I'm saying it, I wasn't his biggest fan, right? I didn't worship the guy. I was certainly probably even leaning on like disagreeing with him most of the time. But I did get to see him in person. And in fact, I was going to go tomorrow to see him in person because he was going to be here in our town tomorrow.
He's going to be tomorrow.
Wow. And I was going to go see him with a couple buddies, not because we wanted to see Charlie Kirk, but because we wanted to be there to talk to other people present and have conversations and like exercise that healthy forum of engagement where we can talk here and it's safe and no one's getting attacked, no one's getting hurt. And that was what it was like the first time I saw him here back in 2019. And to now know, like, one, it's weird to like have been planning on it and talking about it with friends, and now it's over. And I'm realizing, like, not only did they kill Charlie Kirk, but they killed our opportunity to have that. And I wonder how many other people feel like, oh, they didn't just shoot Charlie, but they shot our opportunity to have like a democratic forum of conversation. Because I certainly will say this. I personally don't feel safe going onto a college campus and openly discussing my views. Not saying like I think someone's like looking around to shoot the next person who utters a word of it, right? But you and I both went to the same university, man, and I will say I think the precedent of Charlie Kirk getting shot justifies a lot of people in their mindset of like shooting the next street preacher who goes on campus saying crazy shit. Yeah. Anyways, I got some videos and stuff here pulled up that we can go through for like the latest updates. But I just went and vented and processed a lot out loud, and I want to give Pat an opportunity to kind of process a little bit. And I hope I didn't say anything dumb. And let me know if I did, if I said anything, that maybe I miscommunicated or anything, because I certainly feel like I covered everything that I wanted to, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that also when we've done, like, we've talked about other events, like the day of or the day after they've happened, like before everything's kind of like dust has settled or things have come out on them. And I think that in general, like there's a form of this where we're not reporting on something necessarily, right? We are like giving our thoughts and what we're going through, and like and as we go, like later on, we may get into like speculation of certain things or whatever, and like all that's all just, this is just two guys sitting kind of, just breaking down, processing, going through something, and so, all the facts aren't in, the details aren't in, and like this, if we get into speculation or if we get into assumptions and stuff, it's just us, thinking through what we've seen, just happened a few hours ago. And yeah, I think that my whole day's been, since I found out, I've been in a off mood, which is, I was, and maybe there was also a school shooting today.
Smoke break. Hey, Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick and Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution. It was a terrible day,
and
it was one of the worst days, and it's like perfectly in vein for September.
Mm-hmm.
It's like September and April are the worst months.
Mm-hmm. They are, and what's interesting was I was thinking through. Unfortunately, hopefully, in this school shooting, everybody's still alive as far as at this time, but they could have. I mean, they're in critical condition. Things could happen. They could be, their lives could be ruined, changed, whatever, from physical or trauma, whatever. So it's a horrible, horrible thing. And yet I was thinking through just me personally, and I was like, it's crazy how maybe it's just because have I just become desensitized to the news reports of school shootings, right? Or whatever. Like versus the Charlie Kirk thing is really like what has upset me the most today.
Oh, yeah.
Even though like the other thing is children and, horrible. And maybe if I'd also seen the video up close, because the video that we saw was 10 feet away from him, and it was just like, and it was very, it was super graphic and super fast. And you just knew that he was dead when it happened. It was like, what the heck just happened, And so it was super upsetting. And like, just, it put me in this mood of, I think, I felt a lot of emotions. I was like just upset, stunned, couldn't believe it was real. Was like, I kind of feel angry about some stuff too. I feel, and then on a micro level, I'm like, man, this guy's wife and kids and friends, like super upset about that. And then on a broad level, I'm like, oh, the freaking country, like this is not good. And because one of the first things I thought too was like, well, there's going to be people today celebrating this, it's like, and how messed up that, how far we've devolved and gotten to where like, JFK assassination, like pretty sure there was probably no school the next day. And there wasn't a bunch of people spouting off like, man, he got what he deserved, They're like, well, it's people like that's the problem with the world. And that's why good things are like, I don't think that was, the vibe, but everybody has a platform, everybody has a spot to spout off and speak on, and so, you know, it's from the small level down to his family and his kids, all the way up to the country, the state of the country, that sort of thing. It was just like, so it has me rocketing between the 10-foot view up to the 30,000-foot view, and so that's also part of like what I'm processing through and thinking through of like, where are we at as a nation? Man, this sucks for this guy. Like, I know people who know him, you know, or like whatever. Like, it's just like, so you just go, and I think that the video was very stunning. Because whatever you see, you know, CCTV video of a bank robbery, somebody gets shot and falls over. Like, oh yeah, okay, the guy bleeds on the floor, dies. Okay, but this was just like, I think it was like also the I guess you didn't know what was going to happen. Like, you know what's about to happen when you're watching the bank robbery thing, whatever. This was just like, oh, it's Charlie Kirk speaking like he does, and then
it's every YouTube video I've seen of him.
And then just the finite life, and you knew when you saw it, you knew he was dead. Like,
yeah, because I think too, it's like one of the things where you can tell several things. One, like, I don't think we've gotten desensitized to school shootings. I think the difference is like what makes me upset about school shootings is, of course, that someone would think it's okay to go and hurt children that way. And guess what? Every sane person feels that way too, on both sides of the aisle. What's gross about school shootings, and I think what is distracting, is that everyone uses it as a narrative for either, you know, taking gun rights away, or, you know, whatever other kind of political, or like a lot of people are, oh, well, we need to put everyone who, you know, could potentially be a school shooter in loony bins and lobotomize them. And both of those perspectives are just like exhaustingly disappointing, because you're like, no, neither of those are going to solve probably right now the true core issue of like, we have a mental health issue in this country where people are able to justify going and harming children, or, you know, other mass shootings, right? And so, and we also don't get on Reddit and see people celebrating the death of children. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been on Reddit or social media or YouTube and seen someone celebrating the most recent school shooting. So I think it's different in that way. At the same time too, man, like, yeah, like, no one's ever going to show us the footage of kids getting shot, you know, in schools and stuff. Like, and thank God I don't need to see that. But dude, you see Charlie, and when he gets shot, man, there's no point where he gets to react. There's no point where, like, he is shot, and the way his body responds to that is someone who's lights out pretty quick. And I think that's perhaps what it is, because it is so shocking and it is so jarring, and that combined with people celebrating that kind of thing, people rejoicing in it, just makes you realize, like, holy you are so evil. Like, you are so robbed of moral compass. Like, you have no moral compass. What it was, I will say, what gave me a lot of hope for humanity was that I was on Reddit, and the one sub that was repetitively over and over saying, like, hey, I didn't like him, but let's not celebrate. Hey, this is a horrible thing. Hey, I didn't like him, but you know what? Let's not, you know, celebrate the murder of someone. It's a sad thing. It was the subreddit called r/teenagers. And it was mostly teenage kids in this subreddit saying, like, hey, it's pretty messed up that anyone is celebrating him being dead. And most of the comments were other teenagers like, yeah, this is really scary to me. I'm terrified. Like, why are people celebrating this? Why do I see, like, people who are like my teachers and my parents celebrating and rejoice? Like, it makes no sense. Like, this is wrong. And so there's, like, I saw that and I was like, okay, so, like, the youth isn't brainwashed into thinking, like, this is a good thing. And in fact, they're so self-aware that they can observe adults behaving this way and be like, yeah, okay, I might not, as a teenager trying to figure life out, agree with anything this person's saying, but holy smokes, like, you're a monster for dancing around and cheering that he was killed, that he was murdered. So, anyways, I kind of want to go through a couple things here of footage wise. And I was just gonna share here with you, Pat, and maybe you can put it in the edit of the pod, just clips from these videos of like what we're referencing. But there's a couple different things, and there's a good chance we're gonna cut things in and out in this, just because of their videos where other people are talking about stuff and narrating it. So I would say like just bear with us as we kind of try to make sure we get you the most succinct information and kind of the most valuable speculation we can kind of provide here. As of right now, unless Pat, you're seeing something else.
No, yeah.
As of right now, no one is in custody.
I haven't seen they do not have anybody, at least that nothing's been reported, nothing like that.
There has been 2 people that were taken into custody, and they have both been released. And so currently there is no one in custody, and as far as I could tell, that there's not even a lead person of interest right now. Are you seeing anything anywhere about a lead person of interest?
Nothing. I'm not seeing anything out there. They have nothing's been. Everything I've looked up, there's just been diddly squat.
So we got a guy in the wind.
Yeah.
Or a gal in the wind, which is crazy because of how fast they were able to identify. Now, granted, there's a lot more security for the Trump shooting, right? The attempted assassination. But that, I would say was something that we felt like there was a lot more quicker response on. So, anyways, I'm gonna start going through this video here. And I can send it to you if you want to try to go through it with me at the same time, Pat, or do you just want to listen?
I'll just listen in, yeah.
But anyways, so this is from Liberal Hive Mind. He's cranking out crazy amounts of videos on the shooting and just breaking down information. Probably just gonna skip around the stuff that's like just ranting, because he can rant sometimes about stuff, and just try to get like images and perspective of the shooting.
Welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, yada yada. I gotta tell you, I started off this morning a little bit low on energy, but now obviously I think it goes without saying I've found a little bit of motivation here. Charlie Kirk thing. But first I want to clear up some confusion, because obviously misinformation spreads fast in moments like these. It was a clearly and understandably chaotic scene, and initially people online were sharing clips of a man being arrested at the event, handcuffed, led away.
Shoot me! Was that you? We don't know if it's him or not.
So in that clip, they're hauling off this older guy in a blue shirt who apparently claimed, I guess from what I'm understanding, right after the shooting, claimed to be the shooter. So the police immediately grabbed him and arrested him. And there was no gun, of course, on the guy. But ironically, some people did research. This guy, his name was like Michael Malance or Michael Malandome or something like that. I can't remember. I was reading about him earlier today, but apparently he had made bomb threats at other previous Utah or University of Utah events back in like 2019 and stuff. And he was like a registered Democrat, and he had said some pretty extremist language before. So, and now as they're dragging him away, he's saying, "Shoot me, shoot me." So it really seems like I doubt that he's actually connected to the real shooter, but it seems like he was an agitator and not in favor of what Charlie Kirk was talking about. And therefore, after the incident, maybe he legitimately tried to disrupt the police investigation because he was in favor of the assassination. A lot of people are theorizing without any credible evidence right now that he knew the shooter and this was planned. If that was the case, they wouldn't have released him. You know what I mean? If that was the case, they wouldn't have released him. Maybe they would do it to try to honeypot the shooter and see if this guy connects with him somewhere, but I really don't think they would. So, but anyways, so the police are, and the police say as they're dragging him away, they say like, "We don't know if he's the shooter, get back." Because, the guy's telling everyone to shoot him or kill him, right? The police are trying to make sure no one actually does anything to him while he's in their custody.
Had reputable outlets kind of alluding to that fact, claiming the suspect was in custody. Obviously, this went viral and spread all over social media. But a few hours ago, police have confirmed that he is in fact not the shooter. We don't yet know the circumstances as to why he was apprehended. Maybe he said something, maybe he did something. We don't know what role he played or why he was detained, but the fact is simple, he was not the person who pulled the trigger. I urge everybody to take that seriously, to acknowledge it, and leave this man alone, despite the fact that people have identified him and connected him to a previous crime. In this particular case, there's no confirmed connection, and some people have been spreading false accusations, so let's get that out of the way right off the bat. And now let's move into what we actually know. So we do now finally have confirmed videos of the shooter. We have 2 videos, in fact. I'll go ahead and play those.
Get right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
All right, so this right here is kind of what I want to show you, Pat, too. This is footage of students from well outside the event recording this guy after he's gone onto a roof, and he kind of shows how the guy got on the roof. Yeah, it looks to me like you're watching it. Wait, tilt that over to me. Oh no, that's the one from inside the building.
Okay.
That's the one that I was talking about where they show him moving.
Of the shooter. We have 2 videos, in fact. I'll go ahead and play those.
Get right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
So
You would think that.
that's the guy up on the
Oh, there's
roof,
somebody on the
laying
roof
in
right there?
place and getting
Fan?
ready. And they show, they're like,
Ran
yeah, he
from,
hopped over this fence over here.
Where's my finger? Whoa. From over there, ran in. And now he's right there. Just saying.
Yeah, and then here's the footage that shows him moving across the roof.
So in the first clip, you can
After the
see an
shot.
individual perched up on top of the rooftop in the distance. The individual seems to be wearing black from head to toe, significantly far back on top of a roof. And this is eyewitness of the suspect, clearly in a position to shoot. I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit frustrated with the fact that once again, there's a suspicious individual on a roof during one of these events in a clear shooting position, and police weren't called. I'm very frustrated that all-out pandemonium didn't break out there, but rather people just filming and saying, oh, look, a suspicious individual, but I guess you can't blame people for not doing everything they should have. And then in that second video, you see a shot being fired, or you hear the shot being fired. Chaos erupts, the entire crowd drops to the ground, and then right there you can see a small little body. Maybe we'll zoom in and play it as I'm speaking here. You see a tiny little black speck pop up, spring up, and start bolting from that position. Well, that was very clearly the shooter, and these 2 clips that are now surfacing online are the only 2 confirmed videos of the shooter. So now we have some confirmed information. Let's talk about what we actually know. We can pull up satellite images, aerial photos of the Utah Valley University campus, and from what we can gather, it seems the individual is on this building right over here. This building is known as the Losi Center at Utah Valley University. And if we zoom in on the Google Maps, it's where the UVU Career Development Center, the UVU Women's Success Center, and the UVU Veteran Success Center is. Just to add as much detail as possible. Now, I think we can definitely confirm that this is the building if we take a side-by-side here and just look at the architectural structure of this building. You can tell that it pretty much lines up one-to-one. You'll see the shooter perched, and there's multiple levels that kind of step upwards. The side wall also seems to be roughly the same color, an orangish red stone or brick. And Fox News is reporting that this was roughly 200 yards away from where Charlie Kirk was posted during the event.
200 yards,
bring
which
in now,
for people who aren't
Lots of people are saying this is like a
pro sniper shot.
Right.
I'm like, dude, I do that sleeping. Yet this Saturday I was doing just dot on my pistol, and I was doing like back-to-back 100-yard shots with my pistol.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things where, yes, you would probably be a practiced marksman to understand like how to hold for a 200-yard shot, and like you'd have to have had a weapon zeroed for it. But this is not like something like this is not a reason to believe that it's some kind of Mossad agent. You know what I mean? Like this is not a government super secret spy assassination. Like anyone with a weekend of time could learn how to shoot very consistently at 200 yards, accurately even. What were you gonna say?
No, I'm gonna say the same thing because there's lots of speculation that as a more professional type hit or some people say it's government conspiracy stuff and these things. So yeah, for 200-yard shot, it's something that can be done, and it's something that, not a lot of training needs to be done to do that. It doesn't have to be professional. Could have been, who knows? Could have been anybody. Is the point?
Yeah, I'll say this: you would be hard pressed to find someone who has spent an hour or two shooting a rifle, not able to make this shot.
I will say it's not an old person, most likely.
Yeah, we're not looking at an old dude on the rooftop. I think
they're climbing up there and the way they are moving,
especially from what I heard, they hopped a fence to get up there and stuff. I do think that they're if you compare it to the attempted Trump assassination, where the shooter missed him, or I guess nicked his ear. I think it's more insane that guy missed at a similar range, than would it be insane if he hit, right? So that. All that said, it's easier to make the shot than it is not for most people. Is kind of what I want to leave people with the impression of.
No, for sure.
Start with this new statement from Utah Valley University. We had a speaker, Charlie Kirk, invited by a student group. Shots were fired immediately for the rest of the day. New information. This
is basically what the scene would look like from the perspective of this heinous murderer who was perched up on that rooftop. So yeah, obviously not exact
foot distance from the corner of the building to where Charlie was. So 375 feet, actually just under 200 yards. Honestly, 150 yards, right? 150, because it's 3 feet in a yard. So 375 is roughly probably 125, 150 yards. So it's definitely under 200-yard shot. So it's actually even not.
Naturally, people are already jumping to conclusions and making assumptions. There's claims that this had to have been a professional hit by a trained sniper, maybe even a state-level operation or foreign state operation. Now, I understand why people would jump to that conclusion. It does look precise, it looked calculated, but I don't think we should get carried away just yet. A 200-yard shot with a high-caliber rifle is not necessarily impossible. It doesn't take a Navy SEAL or CIA assassin to make that happen. With basic training, patience, and a decent rifle, I think that distance is achievable even for, somebody who's more casually trained. But again, I don't blame people for asking questions because I'm sitting here asking all kinds of questions. Firstly, how is this allowed to happen? How does someone once again manage to
Again, dude, it's just the question of why was there no one reporting? So, the fact that people saw it and no one. I mean, before this kind of stuff, imagine we were on campus at the college we went to and you saw someone hopping up and laying flat on a rooftop. You can't tell me you wouldn't think about calling the police.
Oh yeah, and especially now after the Trump stuff, similar to the Trump stuff. Yeah, it's very
public venues. But that right there basically covers all the physical details as we know so far. Now, another crazy part is that somehow this individual was able to be up there and then scale all the way down the building and somehow manage to escape. The suspect is still at large from what we understand, unless things change as I'm recording this video. Now, I'm remaining faithful that hopefully this individual will be apprehended soon. There must have been cameras everywhere. Someone must have noticed an individual walking around in all black clad gear. We don't have
our university has so many.
Oh yeah.
So it's very hard for me to believe that a campus like this doesn't have cameras everywhere that could catch this person by their clothing and what they were doing, especially seeing them coming onto campus.
Have any updates yet, but we do know that Kash Patel was on this thing immediately. The FBI was mobilized on scene pretty much right after the shooting. Police officers were already on scene, and we're also getting civilian footage showing the manhunt in progress.
There are about 6 armed men in the backyard of a home right next to
just some lady
UVU
recording
campus.
off the porch.
Apparently, they
honestly,
are
it looks like
looking
she's recording
for
them in her yard as well as the next
another
side over.
suspect. Maybe another suspect has not been apprehended.
That video shows heavily armed officers moving through a suburban neighborhood near the university. It seems they're scouring a nearby forest. We don't know if authorities have intelligence as to where the individual is or where they suspected the person to have fled, but this is clearly a major operation. This is a full-blown manhunt. And not only is the FBI on every single angle here, but so are internet sleuths. And here comes Another point of interest, I guess you could say, a very, very suspicious online post. We've got an account here on X, which operates under the name Omar, with the X handle reading as Najra Galves. Not exactly sure. There has been an individual identified, potentially connected to the account. It seems to be a trans identifying individual, but of course I'm not going to show the photo just yet because nothing is confirmed. But basically, here's the suspicious part. Roughly 24 hours before the shooting, this was posted on Omar's account. Quote, Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally. And then follows up by saying, let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. So those are obviously not small words. Could this possibly be the shooter himself telegraphing his intent? Could it be somebody with information, somebody close to the shooter? We don't know yet, but clearly this is impossible to dismiss considering the timing. And I can pretty much guarantee.
Anyways, I think that also pretty much encapsulates the other video I was looking at. But yeah, I think the other thing here I was going to think about was just, I don't know if we need to go over it or not, but I do find it insane that like the response of people just openly saying like, okay, it's time to commit violence. And I think that is shocking to me, because I guess I'm still under the impression that, you know, the more conservative political spectrum is a lot slower to committing violence, you know. Still, even like just like, okay, like no violence until someone's inflicted it upon me, right? And it's crazy now seeing like everything that some people are saying on Twitter and calling for. I was just gonna go through and read a couple of just like the reactions that people have from, like, I don't know who any of these people are, but they're, you know, groups on Twitter. While I'm pulling them up, I don't know if you got anything else you want to mention or add, or anything you're reading about here.
I was just seeing if any more videos had come out since that of like this stuff. Nothing actually reliable. And yeah, I think it'll be very surprising if you know, if we, in some ways very surprising if we can't find this person. Otherwise, in some ways once someone gets away from a scene, it can take a while. And you know, and lots of people are dumb enough to, you know, they post stuff about what they're going to do before and all those things. And so I just think that, yeah, we'll have to see when, even over the next few days, I'm sure tons of things are going to come out about, you know, from video footage and certain things. And there's a lot of people running this down. And I will say, whoever did this, I mean, there's, whether they like really or true friends or not, he's friends with every single person up in the White House, like in the cabinet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Charlie Kirk helped Trump pick his cabinet.
Yeah. So I mean,
and I don't think a lot of people grasp that. Like that's how influential he was.
Yeah. So that's, you know, that person's going to have a whole bunch of firepowers being thrown at finding that person right now. You know, their number one priority for FBI and all that. So it's
yeah, and it's also like, I mean, on that note too, like a lot of people believed Charlie Kirk was going to be president. Like a lot of people believed that like Charlie essentially was whipping up a bunch of youth favoritism for him. That like he was very popular with people under the age of 40. Like he was the most like popular conservative. This is the thing that I think people don't get, is like, because if you're not really tuned into like YouTube and political culture and like the environment of, you know, how millennials and Gen Z get the majority of their news, like Charlie Kirk was rated the most popular by a large margin of like political activists among men under the age of, I think it was like 28 is what the cutoff date was, which a majority of that was men under the age of 21. And so like people who weren't super left leaning already, most of those young men had a favorable view of Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? By the time Charlie Kirk becomes old enough to run for president, they would have been a huge voting bloc.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there was like a lot of people just are seeing this and are like, wow, not only did we lose someone that, you know, we approved of in regards to like how they handled expressing our opinions and political views, but I'm seeing a lot of like outpouring, you know, mourning because people are like, hey, we lost like someone who's going to be a great president, like someone who was lined up to, you know, be running for president in the next couple terms. So all that said, some pretty crazy shit on the socials, right? It is pretty sad here, but the Simsbury Democratic Party, which is the official Simsbury, Connecticut Democrat Party. Simsbury is a town in Connecticut. On their Blue Sky social has said Charlie Kirk, who advocates for guns everywhere, got exactly what he deserves. That is an official political party's perspective for like the city it serves. That'd be like, you know, you're living in essentially, figure out whatever town you're living in or county. That's like the actual Democrat or conservative party for that area coming out and being like, yep, we should, you know, we should just kill people because they disagree with us, and it's good that they got killed. You know what I mean? It's an insane public stance for a public organization to take.
Yeah, I mean, it's so disturbing. Yeah.
And I will say this, like a lot of people are drawing comparisons like, well, see, the right condones violence too. The right condones assassinations, and a lot of people are talking about how there was that Minnesota House of Representative woman and her husband who were murdered in their house, and then that assisting shooter didn't kill but shot the senator in Minnesota and his wife, which was honestly a very weak comparison because one, everywhere I saw, no one was celebrating that. I didn't see any conservative or just non-liberals celebrating that assassination and attempted assassination. Everyone denounced it. And everyone said it was awful. Also, though, investigations into that was like, this guy was once a weird evangelical. How do I say that?
Evangelical.
Not evangelist. And had been a preacher in like Africa at one point, but also he worked as staff for both the House of Representative that he shot and killed, and also was on staff, I believe, or his wife was on staff for the senator that was shot but not killed. And both of those politicians were the only Democrats that voted against the bill that was for providing free healthcare for illegal immigrants in Minnesota. And it was like everyone else voted on party lines except for those two. They voted against it, and it's why the bill didn't get passed. So honestly, a lot of conservatives, rather than celebrating any of that or anything, right, were like, really honestly, it seems like someone from the other side shot and killed him who was disappointed that they didn't vote along party lines. And that's the main narrative I heard coming out of that, right?
Right.
But that's the thing everyone's comparing this to, and it's a straw man because I've never seen non-liberals celebrating the attempted assassination, you know, of anyone. I even know on like social media, I saw people joking about Joe Biden's cognitive state. But one of the most common things you saw in the other like circles that were non-liberal ones were like, this is sad.
Like hope he doesn't win, and
also hope he gets help.
Like gets like he's got to hope he can go enjoy his life.
And it's just crazy that like they do think that it's not just them advocating for this violence. There's just a lot of comments here from, I would definitely say, like right-wing to borderline right-wing extremist groups on Twitter that are just openly talking about how the left hates us and the left's going to keep on trying to kill us. This is a show of force, and we need to accept that nothing's going to change unless we are the bad guy they want us to be. Like just crazy stuff like that. Which I mean, I say it's crazy. I can understand why someone is saying that out of anger or frustration or fear. I don't condone it. And I say it's crazy because it's insane that you'd be saying that on social media. But I can understand the what gets someone to say something like that. And that's the crazy thing too. Someone says PNW Guerrilla, which is like a training group out in like for Pacific Northwest, and they try to get guys trained up and be like I don't think they're specifically trying to make a militia or anything like that, but they're like their whole advocating is like being a dirty civilian who's trained up in skills, so that way like you don't have to rely on the government to take care of you. They have one saying like this was a warning and a show of force. If they think someone as moderate as Charlie was the bad guy, imagine what they think about who's coming next. Bow-tied Ranger, no idea who this is. I imagine he's not liberal. Says the right is slowly starting to realize how serious the left is. There's no debating these people. They simply want you dead. You must unemotionally govern these lunatics with a boot on their necks at all times. Anything short of that will quite literally get you and your family killed. Like, bro, insane escalation there. Like that's advocating for segregated governance of different populations based on political beliefs. I did watch Asmongold's video. Do you know who Asmongold is? Dude lives, never leaves his house really. Well, he stepped away from streaming like over a week ago, almost 2 weeks ago, because his dad has pancreatic cancer. He's like, dude, I got to spend as much time with my dad and taking care of him as I can. I'm not going to be streaming. He disrupted that to drop a video about, reaction to this. And he's, quoted as saying, until it starts happening to them, people on the left start having their friends or icons killed, don't think it's going to be real. Like they don't think it's going to be real. To their credit, Turning Point has literally only said, join us in prayers and that Charlie had passed and that we're mourning, and canceling further future events. And like the next week, no one's going to be required to go into office while they mourn and process. Post Malone responds to Brandon Herrera, the AK guy, saying they aren't going to like what comes next. Fucking Post Malone?
He's charged up.
I don't know who Nikolai is. He says it's clear they no longer want to fight this battle with words. How can it be interpreted any other way? Based Matt Jr. says, please be careful on the campaign trail, Brandon. We need to see people like you in Congress. That's true. The AK guy I forgot is Brandon Herrera, and he's still running for Congress again. And I think he might be in a different district now. But yeah, that's pretty scary to imagine like someone like him could be, going off. Greg Gutfield dropped the F word in response on Fox. That was Andrew Tate, who I don't think anyone should be taking advice from Andrew Tate. I certainly don't agree with anything that guy has to say. All he says was Civil War. Walmart Battle Orc. Don't know who he is, but he's got a blue check mark. Something we learned in GWAT may become a lesson for the nation. Killing a leader, a spokesman, or a figurehead inevitably results in someone more radical in their beliefs taking that position. You killed a dude who used words. That, I think, is like darkly foreboding. Like, we killed bad dudes who we thought were the head of the snakes in GWAT, and none of those guys used words, and only a more sinister person or group came up after them.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what do you think is going to replace Charlie? It's not good. It'd be like the same thing. Like if do you know who Son Piker is? He's like he's Middle Eastern. He's a Twitch streamer. He's super inflammatory. He's a millionaire from Twitch streaming and deals and tours. And he's also like a super big anti-capitalist communist. And everyone always gives him a hard time. He's like, Hassan, you have a giant house with like 15 bedrooms and you're a millionaire. Why don't you share that wealth and let people stay in your room? You know, why don't you house the immigrants yourself? Yada yada. Anyone gives him a hard time, dude. I despise Hassan. He's an awful person. He is one of the people who lies a lot about stuff for clout on social media. He's also the one who's very much often like outspoken about it's good for cops to die. All cops are bad. We should kill cops. I wish Trump was dead. We should kill Trump. Stuff like that. Even if I disagree with him and what he's saying, I know if we like if someone killed Hassan, what would come in his place would be a million times worse. You know what I mean? And it'd be a million times more radicalized. Like killing people you disagree with is not a solution. More people saying on Twitter, congratulations to the left, you just lost the Civil War with that move. Masculine Millennial says, I'm just waiting on someone to tell me where we are gathering, what the plan is. Everyone knows it's time. Spike Guides says the government was basically the government has basically one shot to not fuck this up before there is blood in the streets. People are mad. People are so mad that they're openly Fed posting on the timeline. And Fed posting is essentially just like outright saying things that are illegal. Like outright saying like, I'm going to shoot people. Like that is an illegal thing to say, and putting it on social media will get you in trouble. He said, he continues on, Kirk represented the moderate Republican take and was shot for it. Yeah. Andrew Tate again, this is the turning point, USA. People freaking out that Charlie Kirk was going to be at their school tomorrow. So a lot of local people, like probably people who aren't even pro Kirk, are just like, holy fuck. Like, it makes the feeling of like what people were saying they're going to do here at our school in our town a lot more real. Because it's like, that could have been here tomorrow. You know what I mean? A lot of people too are also like, this isn't to say like everyone's being insane, but a lot of people have been very, I think, sentimental in it, like on both sides, like bipartisan wise, saying like, hey, this is wrong. I will give credit to Gavin Newsom. I think Gavin Newsom had a tweet that was like, honestly, the perfect thing you could say as a Democrat liberal politician. And he essentially just said like, this is awful. This is not okay. Never will I condone violence against, for political beliefs. And he never even made like a argument. He didn't say anything about this is why we need more gun control, or this is Donald Trump's fault. He didn't politicize it at all. He was like, this is so bad. Do not do this. This is not okay.
Yeah. And so we have so many people on one side celebrating it, making light of it, acting nonchalant, like they could give two flying rips about it. And then on the flip side, you have people who are, basically calling for wholesale violence where it's just as bad to be like, whatever. Somebody's going to, someone on the left will be killed, politically motivated, from someone on the right at some point. And do you really want your whole camp to be like, that wasn't the spokesman for the whole group, right?
Yeah.
Like that wasn't the head leader of the wokies or the left or the liberals or whatever who who did that. And it's like I don't think they all got together and were like, all right, like we're organized, we voted this guy in, he's going to go kick it off. It's someone on the far fringe who made that choice. Now, in the same token, I'm not wanting to, throw everybody in the same camp and different things. It is like from my perspective, when I do see that it's 50-50 on Twitter, if you search his name, straight 50-50 down the line of people saying, condolences, major loss, he was a great man. Two people saying, making fun of it, making light of it, being happy about it, throwing his words back in his face. The big thing that's going on, the big thing being thrown back in his face would be he was pro 2A's, pro gun ownership. And being pro 2A doesn't mean you're pro shooting people.
No,
that's two different things. But so they always want to say that's like the same thing. So everybody's saying
it's kind of like you're pro not getting shot.
Yeah,
you're pro like, no, I'm pro 2A so that way no one shoots anybody. Because if everybody's got a gun, everybody's going to be thinking twice before shooting someone else.
Yep. And so anyways, lots of people are throwing these words back in his face, and it's disgusting. And so, when you see people react in this disgusting way to a tragedy, it makes you go, okay, now that group doing that is just further solidifying the view of the other side to say, okay, well, I guess that violence is the answer to this, right? And it's a snowballing type thing, and I don't see it snowballing out into, people saying, people throw around things like civil war, like same way people throw around words all the time. They throw around the word Nazi, throw around the word Holocaust, throw around the word Civil War, like World War III, like as if it's, not even taking 2 seconds to think about really what the true measure of that word or that thing would be, and having no really understanding of what it would actually look like to have a civil war in America with 335 million people, right?
Yeah, it's honestly, in my eyes, the greatest sign of privilege is someone on their phone in their apartment room arguing for like civil war.
Yeah,
like we should. Yeah, it's time we have this so we can kill all the people who we don't agree with.
Is it that bad? Is it so bad in this world,
it's
in
not.
your life right now that you want to go to war to make it better?
And it's just like, that's what I mean though. It's so privileged that they are so far removed from the realities of what that looks like. They have no grasp on what saying that really means and like what that would be like. They have no perspective. Like, the thing that scares me about civil war is that there's a real chance that in like a true civil conflict in the U.S., a real nation divided, balkanization, right? All these states trying to become their own nations all of a sudden because they all disagree with each other, and only some of them agree, but that state's way over there. And it's just like absolute chaos and fracturing. That first week is a good chance that even of those of us who have thought about it and have done a mild amount of preparation, there's still an insanely high chance that in that first week we're going to die. And if you think living in, your super removed first world, highly reliant on technology and infrastructure city, you're going to live in 1 week from the beginning of that, you were out of your mind, dude. Like, I don't think people understand that when they're in a 10-story apartment complex, let alone we're talking skyscrapers in a city like New York, that if that grid goes down, there's a good chance some of you are going to starve before you can get down the stairs.
Yeah.
Because what do you do when someone panics and the stairway gets, starts being ran by people who are extorting those who are trying to get out for whatever they're carrying? What are you going to do if there is like actual war in the streets between, a divided military, and concrete collapse and blocks that stairwell, and you're 50 floors up? Like, there's not enough bed sheets for you to scale down, bud. I hate to tell you, like, you're going to die there. And not only that, like, you're going to realize within the first few weeks, not first few weeks, in the first couple days, that concrete buildings above ground, high up in the atmosphere, not in the atmosphere, but like high up above the ground, are freaking ovens. And you're gonna die of heat stroke. And your cat's gonna die, and like, I'm serious, dude. Like, and people don't have a grasp on that.
Yeah, it's like, all you people out there who like having a cat, stop being excited about Civil War. There's no more cats. You have to eat your cat.
If infrastructure breaks down because we have no trucking anymore because it's not safe for a truck driver to drive supplies across state lines. Like, your dog's going to die. Your dog's not going to get food. Your kids could starve. Like, this is not anything anyone wants. It is an awful thing. And to see people advocating for it, like, just fills me with like absolute dread, because I just don't think people have a true grasp. They're so far removed from it.
Yeah. They just have no idea what they're asking for on that stuff. And people on both sides also, okay, so
that's what I'm saying, on both sides.
Right. Yeah. So, you're all bent out of shape for this guy who was assassinated, understandably, but so it's time to just throw into the last option, the final option, to save something. Like, no, we're not too far gone to be able to, still work out differences and things. And then also it's like, then the other perspective of some of this would be, you don't think we are at civil war. It's just not a blood war, we're at a divided.
It's an ideological war
that's being fought through tweets and posts and, on the ground level all the way up to on the big level. Yes, things like assassinations and or huge, political maneuvers, new giant bills being passed, or people getting into office, whatever it is, media pushing one thing or the other. We're at war. Now the trick is for us is to be, are we at war with our fellow citizens, or are we at war with, evil? And I see a lot of evil lately and things like this too, which this is evil. And the celebration of it's evil, the titillation or excitement of, time to go to civil war is evil.
It is, yeah.
And so it's the whole thing's definitely put me at a loss for today. Just going, man, like I got home and I was like, just in a bad mood, and my wife didn't understand. I was like, did you hear what happened? She's like, yeah. But like I don't know, like.
And I don't want to scare Billie Jean by trying to like make her understand the gravity.
Like, this is a big deal, and it's kind of a big deal to me, and I didn't realize it was. It was like, it was a gut punch for sure. Very upsetting.
Yeah, I'm saying this off the top of my head, right? Here's what I hope for. I hope for in a year from now, someone is making a Netflix movie about this. And it's going to cover the manhunt. And there's someone who's going to get an Academy Award for playing Charlie Kirk, or someone who's going to get an Academy Award for portraying the evil of the shooter. Because if that's happening, that means this didn't escalate into more. If that's if in a year from now, a couple of years from now, Hollywood is still running its machine, and it's at most documented for a lesson in history and a drama movie, then that means like those things still exist, and society here is still civil. And that's what honestly, like, I want to see. Because if that's not happening, that means we're in a really bad place.
And we definitely have a rift. I mean, here's a video just popped up on here of it's C-SPAN of in the House floor, people, having a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk, and Democrats yelling no and disrupting it,
screaming and stuff.
And then
the Speaker of the House is calling for
and then
that.
People, exactly. And then another representative saying you caused this. I mean, the people up in that room can't get their stuff together. It is crazy.
Yeah,
it is absolutely crazy. You can't take 1 minute to go, even for your own self, even for your selfish ass. You're a politician. You got to get up in front of people and talk about views that others disagree with. You should be scared shitless of this, which side you're on, enough to at least pretend you care and get behind just shutting up for a second. And then from a perspective of humanity, this was a gross public, and people die from guns all the time. It's sad. It's horrible. But public display of this and the messaging of it is something worth. A lot of these people in the room knew the guy, whether they liked him or not. Probably everybody in this room knew who he was.
Yeah.
You'd like to just shut someone, he's basically a colleague, whatever, or in the circles he ran in, just like shut your mouth and take a moment of silence and a moment of prayer for a young dad who just got assassinated. It's insane.
Yeah. Which is like why I still like, even though I find Gavin Newsom reprehensible, I commend him in his response and not feeding into it, right? And because I do think Gavin Newsom probably saw that and was like, like, is this going to be the thing that someone uses as an excuse to commit political violence against me or one of my, fellow Democrats? And I think that's like the thought that everyone politically needs to be having. Like, if you're a senator or congressman, like, you need to be, rather than celebrating this, you need to be condemning it for your own safety.
Yep. All those people up in that room, they need a reality check.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. That's frustrating. I mean, all lit up seeing that come through here.
Yeah, and there's just so many things right now here that I'm seeing are just on my YouTube feed. Essentially, people memorializing Charlie. Like, I see one here from Mike Rowe from his time with him. Douglas Murray, responding in memorialization of him. Tim Pool on the Timcast, they have a signed poster for Turning Point signed by Charlie. They put it up in the background, and they reflected on how they had just had him in the studio just a year ago to have a civil debate with this other, like, very far left streamer called Vosh. And guess no one threatened each other in that with violence or anything, and it's just crazy that, like, that's gone now. I do think we're gonna see a radical shift, though. Like, I was talking about this with a couple other guys, but I think, like, the whole Steven Crowder change my mind thing, that's gone. That's gone in the open forum area. Like, that might happen in in a room where there's security, but I don't think that's ever going to be in the next few years something that's happening in an open area with rooftops around.
Oh yeah. And I think, hopefully it is dangerous. It will be more dangerous because people latch on to these sorts of crimes and then want to emulate them. But I think, I'm hoping that people do have the platform, continue with the courage to, like, have debate in open forum. It's like, it's a huge cornerstone of, like, this country and how we built it and developed it. And the fact that, even a bunch of guys stood in a room yelling at each other, angry about stuff and at each other to hash out, hey, what is this Constitution? How do we work this out? Right. And things are coming to a head in America in a big way. And I think that what I'm encouraged by is the youth of America. I've been encouraged by the young people lately, where I see a lot more people who are, like, uninterested in social media. Young folks, a lot more people who are, like, they see this craziness and they're like, don't want anything to do with this, like, extremist mentality on either side. And especially with, like, I think left wokeism, like, I see a lot of kids just like, yeah, that's kind of silly. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And because they've, like, lived in it, grown up in it, they haven't necessarily been indoctrinated into it. They've just been more like, they've seen it happen and are like, all right, like, who's running the show here? This is ridiculous. And I think that we do have a good shot at people, being tired of this stuff. And there is definitely, I believe, in the silent majority, big time too.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I mean, the people on social media are a minority. Like, majority of Americans are not on social media saying this kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're doing what they do, living their lives, trying to make their world a better place around them and make it happen.
The following days are going to be pretty crazy to see, just like the responses and what happens. And Man, I hope this manhunt is... Honestly, I hope the manhunt is a crazy, insane show of force. Like, I hope people see the manhunt, because we didn't really get manhunts for the attempted assassinations on Trump.
Right.
Like, those guys were caught right away, or executed right away. And I think that what we need is an insane show of force that shows people, like, hey, if you do this, the punishment is, you know, like salted earth, like wrath of God drop down on your head. Ironically, before this happened, man, I was listening to, you know, I showed you this guy Flesh Simulator, right? He just did his first episode of his podcast, which was like kind of just a stream of consciousness responding to the news, and it was before the assassination. It actually was, I was listening to it as the assassination happened. Now that I think about it, I was walking my dog, listening to him kind of in his thoughts, and his whole first episode was on like bringing back capital punishment in a way that like the country needs to get unified on. And this is interesting because he identifies as a Democrat, like a left-leaning person politically, even though most left-leaning people, I would say, have disowned him. And a lot of
his logical mindset.
Well, and a lot of and a lot of conservative people like watching his videos and what he dives into. And he was essentially, he's like, all crimes can essentially fit into like 3 forms of punishment. And he's like, I view them the same. Like, I think they fit into these 3 tiers of like pirate punishment. And he's like, there's flogging, and then there is marooning, and then there's keel hauling. And with flogging, it's like crime against the society, in that in like the trust in society as an individual. So like you steal from someone, like you get caught stealing, you get flogged, and people see you get flogged, and you're like, shit, I didn't enjoy that. I'm probably not gonna steal again. And people see you and they're like, shit, I probably shouldn't steal. And then there is the marooning, which he kind of said was like, you know, response to like higher escalated crimes against society where it damages the trust in infrastructure. So it's like, you know, massive fraud or tax evasion by like corporate entities and individuals. It is the like one example he used was like stealing mail, because not only does that harm the individual you stole their mail from, but that harms the trust in the institution of, you know, a United Mail Service.
You can't operate in the society, so we got to put you outside of it.
Yeah, and we'll come back and get you in a few years. You know, and you can come back after you've had your time marooned to reintegrate. And then there's just like everything else beyond that is keel hauling. And keel hauling, do you know what keel hauling is?
I could assume it's you tie them up by their feet and tow them by the keel.
Well, no, but it is similar. Keel hauling is unreal in its brutality. Keel hauling is where they would tie you by your feet, throw the rope over one side of the boat, fish it out on the other, take the slack out of it and tie your hands, and then the crew would pull the rope, so you are dragged across the hull of the ship on the bottom of it, where all the barnacles are. And most people died on the first pass because the pain of being dragged across the barnacles in the hull of the ship would make you take in a lot of water, and you drown on the first pull. But they'd often just do it until the rope broke or until the body broke, and then you were just chum for the fish. And it's like, hey, you murder someone, keel hauled. You rape, keel hauled. You know, you hurt kids, you're a pedophile, keel hauled. And I was listening to that, and I was like, damn, like, that is a very brutalist approach to punishment for crime. But man, dude, like, you look at like the recent Ukrainian woman immigrant who was just killed by that psychopath on the bus for no reason.
The guy had been let loose like 12 or 16 times.
He had like 40 priors. And it was just like, that is someone who has no they're not going to be rehabilitated. That's not someone we drop off on the island and they're better afterwards. You just keel haul them, man, and make it an example so that way everyone understands, like, oh, if I mindlessly murder someone, the punishment I will face is far worse than just being able to like self-suicide. You know, far worse than going to jail for the rest of my life and living off taxpayer dollars. And I don't really have a problem with it. When I was listening to kind of like explain, I'm like, yeah, like the punishments need to be more severe. And I say that as someone like who has no fear because I don't break the law. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I know I'm not going to get punished for it. And I genuinely think like these radical actions that people are taking is because they don't fear consequence. So we need kind of a, you know, an insane fallout of wrath upon, you know, people who are perpetuating these crimes. So that way those who think about it accept, dude, if I'm going to do that, the punishment is insanely severe. And not only will it ruin my life, it's going to ruin a lot of other people's.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think lots of people are not afraid of that. And yeah, eventually you always end up, there's people who, you know, die for their causes and stuff, but there's a lot less of them.
Yeah.
When it's the real deal like that. It's wild.
Crazy stuff.
Are we wrapping up here? Because I've got two quotes that I was going to finish this out with.
Let's wrap up.
I think, so one would be, Charlie Kirk was asked in an interview, you know, how he'd want to be remembered. And that was, he said, I want to be remembered for the courage I have for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life. So, you know, we started off talking about, you know, he was a man of conviction of his faith, and something that we admired of him, and something that is we believe he had a strong moral compass and a strong faith and conviction in that, and that's something to be admired and to, you know, to strive for, and something that we should emulate, you know, and of course being a sound faith, and we believe, you know, sound faith in truth laid out in the Bible is the way to live your life, the way to set your compass and move forward. And there was another guy. His name was Medgar Evers. He was a civil rights activist, and he was assassinated in 1963. He was shot in his driveway, and he was denied medical attention for an hour outside of a hospital for being black, and he passed away. But what he had said in life also before this is something he had said: you can kill a man, but you can't kill an idea. And I think that, you know, some people say that's obvious or goes without saying, and there are good ideas and bad ideas. And so ultimately the violence that was doled out today in some ways is ultimately moot, in that, you know, silencing a guy who's speaking his beliefs isn't going to slow down the belief that all the people had who agreed with him. Right or wrong, whoever it is, whether they're right or wrong, you're not slowing it down. And so I think that, that there's lots of people out there who carry the beliefs he had, and at the very least, whether you can disagree on little nitpicky things or not, but on the main key things, you know, that he stood for, I think that lots of people can get behind, and no progress was made for evil in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking a lot about the scripture. It's Matthew, I want to say it's in Matthew 8 maybe, but, you know, do not fear those who can kill the body, but not the soul. And I guess, I don't want to live in fear, even if it's a horrible thing like this, and we're seeing people justify it. At the end of the day, they can't take away our salvation. They can't take away, you know, who we are in God's eyes. And Charlie is, I believe fully in my heart that Charlie is at home with the Lord. And even though I didn't know him personally, I really think if he was speaking, if he had a post-mortem ability with a video or something like that, he'd be saying hey, in this, Don't live in fear, but like spend time with your wife, spend time with your kids, hold them tight and love them, and, you know, strive to be a better man tomorrow than you were today. And that's immediately what I wanted to do. Like when I kind of got there, I was like, I just wanted to hold Billie Jean, and I just wanted to let her know that I love her and how much I cherish what we have. Because it is, you know, you never know when it's your time. So with that, I just want to say thank you to those who are listening and joining us. We appreciate you, Ken. We know it's a sad day. Don't let it, you know, darken the horizons. Remain hopeful, remain optimistic, place your hope in Jesus. Because he is, you know, King of eternity, and that is going to outlast whatever this world has, and whatever evils in this world is going to come our way. So, with that, Pat, you got anything?
Till next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.